Hi, this is Warren Wood. This is my slideshow. Thank you for joining me again. This is my ugly mug right here and the blue glasses. Luckily, I'm with my beautiful wife, Kim, my daughter, Harper, and my dog, Madden, swimming on a beautiful summer day. Connections I made. Realization that we are fighting our consciousness and the natural desire to fit in is of the utmost importance. We can kind of get stuck in the fear and the judgment of society and everyday life and kind of fitting into the ordinary way of life. I loved how Dolly and the Surrealists were able to take extremely ordinary items and putting them together to make extraordinary pieces of art. The connection that I made is that the most beautiful things are right in front of us, but if you're too preoccupied with other things, or just being kind of lost in your mind and not being present, or maybe being too fearful to step out, you can miss the beauty that is right in front of you. How the connections helped me. What really stood out to me in helping me make these connections between Dolly's work was the beauty the surrealists would find in everyday objects. One of my favorite parts of the video was the random walks with no destinations. I think that's a beautiful thing. If you drive the same way to work every day and drive the same way home every day, or get in the same routine, not that routines are bad, but I think they can kind of dull your senses because you're so used to doing something that you don't really pay attention to what's going on. So I love that they had these just random walks and they would find these cool little objects and then turn them into these awesome pieces of art. I also love the story about the flea markets and how, the individual who was telling the story would go and find these weird objects, and I thought that was so cool that the inspiration he found. I happen to love yard sales, and so that kind of spoke to me because you never know what you're going to get, and it's pretty cool that the life of an object can have from one person to another can really, I guess, kind of die on one person and they're done with it and find new life in someone else, and that's awesome. Creativity connects to entrepreneurship and innovation by giving us the ability to see something in a new light and change it for the better. It's hardly ever that aha generational idea. It's about seeing something that you've seen a million times. I like to think of the air temperature, the thermostat is the word I'm looking for, and how it was the same forever, and the innovators changed it into the smart one where you can control the temperature. It learns about what your ideal temperature is, etc. The point of that story is they really didn't invent a thermostat. They just made it a little bit better, and that's what innovation is about. St. Pete's big influence really it was really cool to hear you talk about that. I love Web City. That's such a cool story, and it's amazing to me. It was 7 blocks and had 1,200 employees, 60,000 visitors a day. It's just insane. I wish it was still there. I mean, I guess like the first like Walmart really, but it was cool that to know no matter where you are, how big or small, though St. Pete's not really small anymore, but you can have just as big of an impact. And it is neat to know that people in our area have had such a large impact on the world. When I think of other innovations, Outback Steakhouse comes to mind. It's probably not something people think of really when they think of innovation, but to me, I think it is because they took just a steakhouse and put a little twist on it with this Outback flair and their grill on the Barbie, and their bloomin' onion and all that. Even though the guys weren't from Australia, they probably really knew nothing about Australian cuisine. But it was great marketing and it was innovative. It was something new, and obviously, it's blossomed, for lack of a better word. into a huge, very successful chain. And they now have Bloomin' Brands, which has diversified them. The Penny Hoarder, that was pretty cool. That guy that started, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Penny Hoarder, but it's a website that a guy started who actually was a USF student and fell on hard times after school, was in a ton of debt, and was just honest about his situation. And now it's all about helping people, that are trying to be financially responsible. And it's a pretty cool website. The big picture here, innovation helped Outback because they took a simple idea and they just added a twist onto it, and they were brave enough to do it. Really, no, nothing's a sure thing. It's just I believe about not being afraid to try and not being afraid to fail. I think if you're afraid to fail, you're never going to try anything. And the Penny Hoarder, it's about just taking your own experiences and helping people and keeping it simple and brutally honest. People love honesty, especially difficult honesties. It's easy to be honest, about the weather, but it's hard to be honest maybe about personal situations like how you were irresponsible and racked up a ton of debt. People love that. Thank you.